So that's tornado warning number 1. It looks like this one in Fremont that we've been telling you about was just extended into other parts of eastern Nebraska. So not only Dodge County, but also more now into especially Washington County. But it does look like that tornado warning does include the very far northern edges of Douglas County. So again, tornado warning, maybe triggering some tornado warning sirens in Douglas County. I don't hear ours. We're on the southwest side of the city. I can usually hear it in our studio. I think it's over in the Raising Cane's parking lot near 108th and Q is where our tornado siren is. And again, I don't hear it, so maybe this is not triggering the whole county, which would be nice. But again, technically that tornado warning is included in very far northern Douglas County. But again, especially into Washington County and a little bit farther off towards crossing over into western Iowa, it does include, I'll get my little pointer finger out here once again while I'm over here at the computer. This, again, technically the very far western edge of Pottawatomie County, and then into the corner of Harrison County as well, which does include California Junction over towards Mo Valley. But again, farther south, there's the edge of Pot County. So really mainly at this point, Washington County, but some surrounding areas as well. So that's what we're looking at right now. Okay. A little closer look here. Again, Fremont, this is just about to pass you now. So Fremont, I do want to give it just a couple more minutes before we say to come out of your safe place. But Arlington over towards Kennard, Blair, Bennington, Fort Calhoun, other areas we just mentioned like California Junction, you need to be heading to that safe place. Let's go back over to our other radar view, which is going to show you the leading edge of the rain, which in this case too is pretty much the leading edge of the strongest wind. So we'll switch on over to that. And actually, this has become much more messy because it's now starting to almost catch up with that other storm that has been bringing hail to Omaha. So this is going to messy the picture, to put it nicely. Good news is, though, when you messy the picture on a radar, sometimes that means we are going to lower the tornado threat. And eventually, not happening yet. So again, Washington County, I still want you in your safe place. As I say this, as these two storms start to come together, that is going to mess up the wind on the leading edge and hopefully kind of mess it up enough to kind of get rid of that rotation, the potential tornado. Imagine you have a full bathtub and you're draining it. You know how that tornado forms sometimes, that little miniature water tornado? Basically, when you put your hand in the water and you wiggle it around, it messes up that spin. That's what's kind of going to happen as these two storms kind of catch up one to the other. But right now, again, that hasn't quite happened. So again, Washington County, very far northern Douglas County, we do want you in that safe place. Okay, let's zoom out. It does look like that more southern rotation that was heading towards Wahoo has weakened, so that tornado warning is now gone. So we are down to 2 tornado warnings at this point, the 2 we just mentioned. Okay, so let's talk hail again right now over Omaha. Now, we updated you on those 2 areas, and it does look like that pocket of hail that we've been showing you has shrunk down a little bit. It's not quite as much of a widespread hail. Let me just check in with this really fast. Fremont at the courthouse. We are getting a report of roughly 60 mile per hour wind gusts that went through Fremont. And okay. All right, that's the latest update coming in there. Okay, let me hop over to the screen. Again, this is the hail moving through Omaha right now. So really between Benson and Florence, moving towards Carter Lake off to the east, our hail core has shrunk down a bit. That's good. But still, where you see the blue, especially the darker blue there in the Benson area, that's still, quite an update there. Okay, well, let me zoom out and show you where that hail just kind of shot off to really fast. Okay, that's odd. It took a little dip to the south. Looks like one little part of the storm strengthened over a different one. So Council Bluffs, we gave you the warning this could impact you if it took more of that easterly route, which ended up being the case. So now Carter Lake, really down into the core of Council Bluffs. There's Broad. Down towards Lake Manawa, we're seeing some of that hail right now. So there's I-80, I-29 is that kind of red line there through Council Bluffs. So there's the Mid-America Center, probably went right about there. And here's I-29, which is so nice to have back open these days. And that extends there up towards Carter Lake. So there's Council Bluffs. You can see all the road network there in Council Bluffs. So Madison Ave over here a little bit, actually a little bit more over there. And again, the lake down there to the south. So all that Council Bluffs area, getting some of that hail right now. About an inch Probably the greatest an inch. Zach, if your parents are awake, ask them if they have any hail coming down in Council Bluffs. Oh, they're not awake yet. Okay. We'll get an update from them later. So Council Bluffs, again, he's got another update in from radar right there. That area dark blue, again, probably at least about an inch or so in diameter. So hopefully you got those cars moved in when we gave you that little heads up earlier. Omaha, though, maybe some small hail still coming down inside I-680 where you see that gray. But looks like the hail situation improving pretty quickly in Omaha. Also, another little pocket of hail, though, it looks like more towards the edge of Sarpy and Douglas counties, farther off towards the west, so north of I-80 towards Gretna. At least some smaller hail, probably less than an inch in diameter, now moving towards you where you see that lighter gray and white coloring on radar. All right, so other than that, things are looking good. Let's take you back to those areas of rotation right now, and you can see what's going on. All right, so there's our wind product, and again, as the wind crosses over the radar and valley, it's going to change colors, so don't pay too much attention to that. It's just because the way the wind is now moving away from the radar instead of towards it. But I want to turn the warnings back on and again show you those couple of tornado warnings that do still exist. We'll start with the more northern one there in Burt County, and let me see if there's any updates coming in from this one. Actually, we just got an update from Pottawatomie County. Emergency Management Office is saying golf ball size hail in North Council Bluffs. So North Council Bluffs, that hail we just showed you, sounds like it's about golf ball size hail right now. Okay, back to our area of rotation though. And again, this is, we'll just call it a messy area of radar as the storm goes perpendicular to the radar beam. Actually parallel, I guess. When the wind crosses the parallel version of it, it gets a little messier. We just don't get as clear of an image, but still some rotation holding in there. Yuling, you can come out of your safe place now, but Takema, we definitely need you to be in your safe place if you are not already. I want to take you back to the rain, and we'll show you here the leading edge of this. So again, Takema, this is actually over you already. Right here, the leading edge of it. Again, the notch doesn't look quite as bad as it did a little bit ago, so I'm not quite as worried about this, but still, if you're Takema, give it 5 minutes, you can come out of your safe place right there, but still on the very edge of Burt County towards, of course, the state border there. That's an area of concern. Harrison County, that's a little piece of view towards Little Sioux, still under the tornado warning. And then Monona County there, again, at least the very far southwestern edge of Monona County, the Blencoe area. Still under that tornado warning. So we'll see if that holds together. But again, I would say it's looking a little bit of an improved situation, but still some very strong wind with that. Keep in mind, even outside of that tornado warning right now, that orange box indicating still in that little segment of this line of storms, up to 80 mile per hour damaging straight line winds. So this is by far the strongest piece of this line of storms. Where we are seeing the potential for some of that strongest wind. So let me actually zoom out a little bit and again, just show you a wider picture. I'm going to turn the warnings off again because I admit there is a lot happening on here. So give me 1 second. We're going to turn those off. Little piece by piece. There we go. Okay, so again, it's that leading edge of these storms, especially on this segment right now, really passing through Thurston County. At this point, the very far eastern edge of Thurston County and the eastern edge of Burt County, south into Washington County. So Blair, Takema, and the edge of Thurston County there towards Iowa. That's where we have some of our strongest wind right now, at least the damaging straight line winds. It's just in that leading edge. When the rain starts, that wind is going to ramp up real fast for some of you. Good news is, once you get past the line of storms, the wind tends to lighten up pretty quickly. So Monona County, down towards Harrison County, you guys are in line for that strongest segment of these storms. We'll see if it holds together for you, but easily 70 plus, if not 80 mile per hour winds in a couple pieces of that area of straight wind. A little bit farther south, we're seeing an improvement, I don't know if it's the right word, but we're seeing some good signs at least on radar. Again, as this storm there on the right, which is more over Pottawatomie County at this point, so Council Bluffs and north, and kind of northeast Underwood starting to get on some of that heavy rain from this storm. Essentially, this storm and the line of storms right there, that line of storms is catching up with this lone storm, and that's going to muddy the waters is kind of the easiest way to describe it. Hopefully it's going to weaken that initial storm, but still, that's the one that's producing. Again, we got the report of golf ball size hail in northern Council Bluffs. Now, Omaha, that line of storms is catching up with us. So, again, could see some strong wind as it continues to move through. But hopefully, between the two of them kind of coming together, that's going to weaken the two storms at least temporarily as they pass through. So, let's kind of look at that hail while we're back over here. Hail, hail, hail. Where's the hail button? There it is. Okay, so as the radar loads that in, and yeah, okay, so that golf ball size report making a little bit more sense now. It does look like that hail has grown in size. You see that purple back on radar once again. So we're getting off towards the eastern edge of Council Bluffs, but still some of this over, especially the northeast part of Council Bluffs. Just to get an idea, there's I-80 right there. And again, exactly that would be Madison Ave, or is Madison Ave over here? That might be Madison Ave, right?
Yeah, right there.
Okay. So right there, I-80, and then this is moving essentially east and a little bit up to the north at the same time. So right up I-80 in some of this areas, you get outside of Council Bluffs. So Weston, McClelland, Underwood, obviously, and that's going to continue to move its way off to the east there through Pottawatomie County, kind of through the central part of the county. Again, the hail, at least that main hail core, has really weakened in the Omaha area, but still now some smaller hail moving through Omaha. We'll kind of show you that. Again, just take the comparison, that purple area, the largest hail right now moving out of Council Bluffs, compared to the hail in Omaha, just kind of that light gray coloring into the central part of the city, including Exarban over towards downtown and south into Southo. That's just so much smaller hail right now moving through the city. Not enough to cause you any issues, and again, that shouldn't strengthen a whole lot. Hopefully this other storm has kind of zapped some of the energy over the metro right now. But again, that much larger pocket of hail continue to move on now. All right, let's take a look at tornadoes again, at least the potential tornadoes that we do have in our area. At last check, we still had a couple of those severe tornado warnings in effect. So let's go back over to our thunderstorm winds, and we'll show you some of those right now. And meteorologist Tim Schmidt, after spending the night here watching the first wave of storms, has rejoined us this morning, so we appreciate his help as always. Absolutely. Tim, welcome back. Okay, so let's get the warnings back on here. Tim's going to help me out with radar so I can stop walking back and forth so much. Okay, so there's all of our messy warnings. And again, we'll start this one in Burt County. And again, we're just not getting a real clear picture, so I'm going to switch back over to our other radar view here, which shows the rain. And that's going to give us a better look, at least on this storm, where that rotation is. Again, there's a couple notches, but it's really this area right here that's been our main area of concern. So here's the city of Tekamah. So Tekamah, I told you to wait a few minutes. Tekamah, you can probably come out of your safe place now. But that red box stretching from Ottawa over towards Pisgah in western Iowa, that is the current tornado warning for this one. So right now, it's pretty much going through the very last mile or so, very far eastern Burt County right there. And then it's about to cross over the state border. There's the Missouri River, and that red line is I-29. So all that area under the tornado warning, of course, that stretches over, like I pointed out, that little corner of Monona County, and of course, the very far northwestern edge there of Harrison County right now too. So that's that tornado warning that we have.
Yeah, Mark, and it looks the little hooking structure there just west of Mondayman. It looks like there's a little bit of surging also happening there too. On the southern side, actually not within that tornado warning.
Yeah, and again, we've had lots of little, of course, with this kind of little notches kind of all over the place. Some have looked more concerning than others. And again, that's why I've been telling you, kind of this whole leading edge of this line of storms, it is best just to be in that safe place. Again, we're talking even outside that area of rotation, in this segment of the storms, the potential for 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. So tornado or not, in these little notches, it's best to be kind of taking it better safe than sorry. And notice with the latest radar update, a lot of this is now really just crossed over the Missouri River in most spots. So leading edge of this now, more pushing into western Iowa. And Tim, if you want to take us a little bit farther south to that other tornado warning that we have, still looks like... oh boy, okay, still mainly in Washington County. We've got so many lines on the map right now with all these warnings trying to figure out which one's which. But so Fort Calhoun right now looks to be some of that area of concern with a little bit of rotation near you. So continue to be in your safe place. But obviously it's now moving in through Fort Calhoun. So very quickly, this will be coming out of Washington County and more into portions of Harrison and Pott County. Again, Council Bluffs, the rotation right now is north of you, but does include there the little corner, the northwest corner of Pottawatomie County and the very far southwest corner of Harrison County. So again, Fort Calhoun kind of moving right over you right now. So California Junction, Mo Valley, Loveland, over towards Logan, BB Town, and as far south as Crescent even. or if you're north of Crescent, something to keep an eye on here as we continue through. Tim, let's take a little wider look and just kind of give another recap here. New people waking up from these storms, kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah, this is just kind of a wider view of what the metro looks like based on radar. Right? And like you were saying, a lot of polygons, whether it's the severe thunderstorm warning or even the tornado warning. We have multiple warnings that are out right now for not just kind of Douglas and Sarpy counties, but also north there into Washington and even Burt County.
Yeah, and again, it looks like the tail as it kind of goes farther down to the south, as it kind of passes through more Cass and Otoe counties. Not severe at this point, just a thin area of some heavy rain. Hopefully we can keep it that way. Lincoln, this should be your little last push of rain for a while. You can see once this area line of storms goes through, we're going to get some drier weather out, which is a good thing. But unfortunately, it's going to set us up for another round of storms later on today. And actually, Tim, I think I have a little sequence set up. If you want to put it back into play mode and get me to my first graphic, kind of just we'll go through kind of what's going to happen later on today.
Well, right here in your...
let's see. Yeah. Yes, that one, I think. If you want to put that one up.
Let's go for it.
I'm going to skip through a couple of these scenes here because, again, we have a honestly more concerning setup coming later on today. So let me skip through some of this stuff. And we'll get back to it, of course. But first off, too, in addition to what's happening right now, we have seen a lot of rain in some of these cities along and north of I-80 over the last 24 hours. Fremont, now in the last 24 hours, about 2.7 inches of rain. Epley Airfield, 2 inches of rain. And Tacoma now reporting over 4 inches of rain. So flash flooding has been an issue in some areas and will continue to be an issue into the morning commute. This could slow you down, especially if you're in more of those flood-prone areas. We all know the same ones that back up, Saddle Creek under Dodge, and the list goes on and on after that. So we could have some issues out there at the morning commute. Give yourself extra time as you do head out. But I want to take you over to Futurecast. Again, still some storms around through the morning commute. But then, we talked about this yesterday, here comes our next cold front, and that's going to be the trigger for our storms later on today. So that probably enters our most western areas, Norfolk, Columbus, down into York, probably as we get closer to 11 o'clock this morning. So late in the morning, these will start to push through. That's leftovers of what we're dealing with right now. Again, this is on Futurecast, not current radar. This is what we're showing you what the radar could look like roughly around 11 o'clock this morning. That's when the latest round starts moving to our most western cities and counties. Then everything progresses closer to 12 to 2 o'clock. Again, timing, a little bit uncertain, but probably between 12 and 2 across the Omaha metro. And then by 2, 3 o'clock, those storms in western Iowa and northwest Missouri. And I think by 3 o'clock, they're pretty much pushing on out of here. The cold front will follow. Now, behind the cold front, it's going to get windy late this afternoon, and temperatures will actually fall. So our low 70s, the high of the day, will be around lunchtime. After that, temperatures will probably fall into the low 60s by the time we get into the evening commute. But let's talk severe potential, and this is not for the stuff right now. This is for later on today with that second round coming with the cold front. So here's the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. Notice all the red on the map. Central parts of Iowa, including Des Moines, and that stretches into a good chunk of western Iowa and northwest Missouri. To be clear, that is a 4 of 5 on the severe weather threat scale. That's a very high threat for some pretty nasty weather later on today. In the brown area, which includes Council Bluffs, the Omaha metro, and a good chunk of far eastern Nebraska, that is a 3 of 5 on the threat scale, so 1 level lower, and we'll drop 1 more level than that into areas like northeast Nebraska, south towards Columbus, York, Gage County. All that yellow area is a 2 of 5 on the threat scale. So basically what this is showing us, the storms are going to strengthen as they go from west to east through our area later on today. Now, as far as hazards or types of severe weather, really anyone could see any type of severe weather. Obviously, we talked about flash flooding. With more rain coming, that will likely kick off more flash flooding later on today, at least in some spots. I've already seen a lot of rain overnight. Now, as far as very large hail, anyone could see it, but I think a little bit more of a concern for the real large hail in eastern Nebraska. In exchange for that, though, western Iowa, northwest Missouri, into central Iowa, much greater tornado threat for you in that round coming later on today. Again, any area could see a quick tornado, but as far as the stronger tornado, longer-lived tornado, better chance of that happening in those red areas of western Iowa into central Iowa. And of course, damaging straight line winds, also a big concern with these storms coming through. So just to recap the timing on that round of storms, it is going to be a line of storms or a broken line of storms that goes from west to east across our area, probably between 11 o'clock this morning and 3 this afternoon. Of course, with Omaha being in the middle, our more likely timing between noon and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Right now, Omaha 60 degrees, but still some 70s farther south. There's the wind behind the cold front, easily 20 to 40 miles per hour into the evening. What else do we have? The 7-day, we'll show you this very quickly, just for those of you with plans later in the week, into the weekend. And right after this, we're going to get back to your continuing severe weather coverage. So 73 this afternoon before the cold front gets here, then windy and cooler late in the afternoon. Tomorrow, much quieter. Hopefully we don't need to clean anything up from today, but if we do, good day to do it tomorrow. Much lower humidity, a lot of sunshine, mid-70s. Thursday, breezy and warmer at 80, and then late Thursday into Friday, it looks like some more scattered showers and storms. That system will drop us into the low 70s on Saturday. We'll keep a small chance of rain around over the weekend, and then it looks like as we go into your Memorial Day holiday on Monday, mid-70s with at least probably some hit and miss rain. We'll wait and see how much that develops, but just be aware for your Memorial Day plans, might need an indoor option just in case. All right, Tim, let's go back over to radar. Yeah, I'm taking out play mode and go back to that.
Get us back over to the radar. And Mark, just an update on some of the severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. Looks like the earlier one that was in effect for Burt County, Washington County. There's one basically right across the river from like Harrison County and Monona. That's been allowed to expire. So good news there. We still have the tornado warning that's in effect. I believe on radar this is still going to be for Fort Calhoun, Nebraska. That one is still in effect. So we're still watching for that for area of rotation. Kind of in, I believe that's in far southeastern Washington County, just then getting ready to cross over into Harrison County into Iowa. So that's where we're seeing right now the only tornado warning currently issued. The rest of the Omaha Metro currently dealing with 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. There are reports of that over at 72nd and Dodge. There are some pretty strong winds there currently on parts of Dodge Street, just kind of inside the 680 loop. Also some reports of pretty large hail still at times, kind of moving really between about Midtown now into the downtown area and then also into Council Bluffs. Two little areas, two pockets there of where we're seeing some hail.
Tim, let's go to the hail product.
Right, it looks like quarter-sized hail is what some of the emergency managers are saying for parts of Council Bluffs.
Okay, let's get a little tighter in on some of this too, and we'll start with that one in Council Bluffs. Again, this was some of that golf ball size hail that has shrunk down a little bit that went through northern parts of Council Bluffs. That's now moving more up towards Underwood, kind of up by 80. So that one moving on towards Underwood, and then now this new pocket of hail has formed, like Tim mentioned, really right over Council Bluffs, and it looks like too, Tim, let's go a closer look at that. This is going to be towards Lake Manawa, where some of that larger hail is right now. And again, where you see the purple on that, the potential for an inch and a half, easily golf ball sized hail in that area there just south of I-80. The rest of Council Bluffs where you see the gray, some very small hail, but again, this is moving off to the east-northeast, so Council Bluffs, another push of hail right now moving through the city. Let's head over to Omaha then, down to Sarpy. It looked like some of that other hail too. Yeah, a little more on the Sarpy County side of the border, but still some of that extending into southern Dodge County, Douglas County too. Okay, it's been too long. So again, just got an update from that. Now moving to the southwest side of Omaha. Right there, that red line is I-80. And right there, that's I-80 when it takes its turn south towards Sarpy. And of course, to the north of that, there's the edge of I-680 where those all come together. So Millard, your hail shrinking up pretty quickly and coming to an end. But now moving more into the central part of Omaha, into the southern part of the city. Now another little push of some hail. Now not quite as large on the Douglas County side of the border, but south into Sarpy County, Papio, La Vista, Ralston, probably half an inch to an inch size hail right now. And then farther south from Richfield towards the Platte River, kind of moving out of Springfield right now, is some larger hail again. And a little pocket of that darker blue area right there, just to the north of the Platte River where we're seeing the largest pieces of it. Again, probably an inch to an inch and a half in diameter. And again, this is moving off to the east-northeast, so up next for some of this hail, assuming it holds together, will be really the rest of Sarpy County, farther off towards the Missouri River, so obviously Bellevue, off at Air Force Base, down towards La Platte, and that includes your areas too. And even really the very far northern edges of Cass County there, Some of that hail is going to skim you too, just to the south of the Platte River too. So Plattsmouth, be ready for a little bit of hail if that southern edge of it holds together for you. Also with that, again, some strong wind, especially where you see the severe thunderstorm warnings. Those are the orange boxes right now. That's pretty much Plattsmouth and up to the north into Omaha. Easily some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds in some of these spots with that line of storms. And Tim, what is this other? Is this just an update for stronger wind here in Pot County?
Yeah, again, it looks like we continue to see a lot of the severe thunderstorm warnings kind of get issued on top of each other here, but I'll just show this. So this is going to be really for basically... That was
the hail update,
Yeah, that was the hail update, inch and 3/4, so we're just under 2-inch diameter hail. What is that, golf ball size, I believe, for nearby it?
Right there. Smaller than a lime.
Right. And then Mark, just turning the radar off that we can see kind of the warnings that are still in effect. We still have that tornado warning. Do you want to go back over to that and just see what's happening?
Yeah, let's go to that. Looks like we're still on the Washington County side of things, it looks like, but looks like we're starting to move a little bit closer into western Iowa now with some of that rotation too, at least in parts there where the river turns.
Yeah, okay. That's where it's looking like. And again, not as pronounced on radar.
Yeah, let's go to the regular radar view. I think we get a little better look at it with that right now since it's in that weird spot with the radar right now. And again, this is kind of merging with that other storm. So I think these two are going to, like we talked about earlier, should mess each other up and hopefully kill off that rotation pretty quickly. But still, for Calhoun, you're going to be in the clear here in a couple of minutes, if not already. But Mo Valley area of Washington County, excuse me, not Washington, Harrison County, probably stay in your safe place. Same thing over towards BB Town. But again, here's our first storm, and there's that line of storms, the edge of it. Those two should kind of be coming together soon, and hopefully we'll put an end to that rotation, hopefully put an end to our last tornado warning of the morning, at least for now. And again, I think this is really going to muddy the waters as far as how organized these storms are, at least in this part of the area, which is, again, basically just on the northern edge of the Omaha Metro up towards Mo Valley. So hopefully we'll start to see some improvements, but again, sometimes when you lower one threat, you increase another, and that's how we're seeing some of that, those areas of hail kind of reinvigorate themselves right over the Omaha Metro right now. Tim, let's zoom out a little bit more, just kind of show people where they're done with the rain, at least for a few hours. Fremont, that includes you. But notice still some of those green boxes being left behind. That includes the city of Fremont, and it includes areas just south of the Platte River and areas like Saunders and Butler counties. Again, those are all flash flood warnings that are in effect. Some of these areas have seen 2, 3, plus inches of rain so far in the last 24 hours. So flash flooding has been an issue, and it's going to be continuing to be an issue into the morning commute in some spots. And that does include some areas of the Omaha Metro. So like I mentioned, could mess up traffic in some areas, delay your morning commute. Right now, let's see, what is the current time? We're at 6.
Yeah, just about 27 almost.
So probably not too many people heading out, but things will start to ramp up here in the next half hour to an hour. So if you do have a little more of a flexible schedule, if you can wait for these storms to get out of Omaha, the better off you're going to be. I know some kiddos heading to school, so take them into consideration. I know we don't have the luxury, but if you are able to drive your kiddos to school, maybe you already do, probably going to be the best option for getting them there safely instead of standing out at the bus stop or having to walk to school. But I understand that's not an option for everyone. We'll continue to update on that. Tim just turned the lightning, and again, we're hearing more thunder now here on the southwest side of the city. Excuse me. There's a lot of lightning with these. Obviously, that's a hazard in itself. We don't want kiddos walking to school when there's this much lightning in the area. Not worth the risk. I know everyone's situation is different, but if you can't avoid it, that's going to be your best case scenario. Same thing over in Council Bluffs, up towards Underwood, and farther north, just an entire line of storms. A huge amount of lightning in some of these areas.
Yeah, Mark, one of the things that the National Weather Service is asking, just some of the media partners, and NDOT is also saying this too, just sharing a message. Just for motorists, when you are out and about, or if you are heading to work, dropping kids off here in the next half hour to an hour, to not stop underneath the underpasses on like Dodge Street or on the interstate, because it's creating traffic jams is what they're saying, especially apparently they're having a lot of issues with that out near Waterloo to Valley is what what NDOT was saying. And it just also, a lot of times the water can sometimes collect underneath those underpasses if it's just in the right spot. So
let me be clear, I'll be more blunt with this. Yeah. Some people do that because of hail, and it's one of the most selfish things you can do. If you stop under an underpass in the middle of a highway or an interstate, you're going to create a traffic jam behind you, And then with the heavy rain coming down, people who have lower visibility are going too fast, will run into the back of you. Do not stop anywhere on the interstate unless you are having to pull over to the side. Being selfish and trying to save yourself from hail damage under an underpass is unbelievable that people do that. Do not do that. The best thing to do is just wait a half an hour or more for these storms to get out of the area. Okay, so heavy rain all across the metro still. Again, flash flood warnings are in effect for the Omaha metro. Obviously, that is causing additional issues. A lot of those areas are those typical ones that just collect water more easily. Again, we've seen 2+ inches of rain in parts of the city. There's more heavy rain coming down right now. That is backing up the drainage system. Until we can get the heavy rain out of here, it's going to take time for the drainage system to catch up. Once it does so, it'll do so quickly, and those flooded roads will return to normal quickly. So again, if you can delay your morning commute, if you are flexible at work, call the boss, text the boss. I'm sure it's their favorite thing is to hear from you first thing in the morning. Let them know you're going to be a little late or ask them permission to do so. But again, not an area of city you really want to be heading out in right now with these storms coming through. And again, these are severe storms, let's be clear. One of the reasons they're severe, the damaging straight line wind coming in with these. Across the Omaha area, our winds have been probably closer to about 60 miles per hour. We've also seen some of these pockets of large hail at times through the city. Right now, this is our hail product. So again, here's I-80 through Omaha into Council Bluffs and I-29. So just south of I-80, at the very far southern edge of Douglas County, south into Sarpy. Now kind of moving out of Papillion and La Vista towards Bellevue at this point is where we're seeing some of that hail right now, where you see some of the darker blue up to 1 inch in diameter. And again, that does go south across the Platte River into Cass County. So some of that hail going to be moving into Plattsmouth here in the next couple minutes too. This is that area of larger hail that moved through Council Bluffs a little bit earlier. It looks like the Underwood area, your hail has shrunk back down to the south a little bit, which is good. But again, heading into central parts of Pot County, if that hail holds together long enough, Oakland, you would be next up for that. Again, if it holds together. What we've seen with some of these pockets of hail, they flare up pretty quickly, and then that part of the storm weakens, the hail shrinks, but then another part of the storm starts to produce some larger hail. So no guarantee that this area of hail is going to hold together, but right now is moving towards central Pot County, over towards the Oakland area. And we just pointed out again some of that hail pretty much from south though, straight south into other parts of Sarpy and Cass counties, moving towards Bellevue and Plattsmouth. Too many other hail in the northern edges of the storms. We haven't really been seeing a whole lot.
And just to also give an update on that tornado warning, it looks like where the rotation was at in that tornado warning in Washington County, that essentially any of the rotation where it was originally, it's now kind of become more linear. It's more of just a line of wind, straight line wind, that is. So I don't believe really we're seeing the tornado threat there any longer. That's good news. Just based on what we're seeing from the Weather Service, that warning should be allowed to expire here within the next couple of moments without issue. But we still do have the potential for obviously the large hail there in Pottawatomie County, kind of near and east of Council Bluffs, and then the wind threat too. Now, Zach had some information for us. I believe it was 7,600 in Douglas County are currently without power, and then up to 8,600, I think it is total.
Total for OPPD, correct? Okay. Yeah, and that's just what's been reported so far. I'm sure more and more will come in. It's kind of been that way just the last hour. Yeah, we were at 1,900 probably about 45 minutes ago in Douglas County, that number.
Last night just before bed, 10, 11 o'clock, we did have a couple hundred without power here in Douglas and in Sarpy counties, and OPPD was able to get power restored pretty quickly, but it was likely due to some lightning strikes or just some gusts of wind knocking out the power there momentarily. I think we're probably seeing something pretty similar to that just because of all the lightning that's currently outside with this. Mark, I'm going to put on the radar the amount of lightning. Look at all the lightning strikes that are currently with these storms.
Well, pause it, and let's give it a count for just Douglas and Sarpy counties over into Council Bluffs.
Yeah, let's see if I can get that.
And again, all those icons you see are lightning strikes in the last 10 minutes that have hit the ground. Obviously, there's even more lightning than that, kind of cloud-to-cloud lightning, but our system will just filter out the ones that are hitting the ground. Those are the ones that cause more issues, obviously. So all those icons in just the last 10 minutes right now is where again, we are seeing just a huge amount of lightning, especially over central Omaha, moving towards downtown. Papillion, La Vista, your hail, or actually not your hail, the hail has shrunk down for you too, but the amount of lightning you're seeing is starting to push off a little bit more. Let's see, there's the box. So let's see the lightning count.
Let me try that again. It's been a while since I've done that. There we go. It should show up.
Oh, there it goes. Okay, so if you see that orange, or the red box Tim just drew, kind of as far north as Logan, south into the edge there of Cass County. So basically the Omaha Metro into Pot County. All that lightning you see, this update's live. So now 314 lightning strikes hitting the ground in just the last 10 minutes. So pretty intense thunderstorm, severe storm to be clear, moving through the Omaha Metro right now. And again, western Douglas County, still some lightning, but out towards Valley, the rain is starting to lighten up. Fremont, you've been completely dry now for just a little bit. Same thing in a good portion of Saunders County, Lancaster County, just about done with this rain. So we've got a lot of areas of eastern Nebraska that are just going to stay much drier and quieter over the next few hours. And again, that line of storm still in the very far eastern edge of Nebraska. But notice how it extends down into Cass, Otoe counties, even Nemaha County. A pretty nice little healthy batch of heavy rain there on the very far western edge of you guys. Still seeing some real heavy rain and quite a bit of lightning. But notice there's not as much wind. And that's why our current severe thunderstorm warning only goes as far south as Plattsmouth. So even though they look kind of rough farther south, just some real heavy rain and quite a bit of lightning coming with those storms. Again, the severe stuff, really Plattsmouth and north. And again, the combination of wind and hail is what's kicking off those severe thunderstorm warnings. At times on the leading edge, we've seen a little bit of rotation, which has triggered a few of these tornado warnings we've been showing you. And again, we are currently done with all tornado warnings. Tim, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, done with the tornado warnings, Mark.
But still, we see some of this brighter red passing through, especially Sarpy County, crossing over the river into more of Pot County, even parts of Mills County there near the Missouri River and I-29. Where you see that brighter red, those are some of the stronger wind right now that's moving through, especially right along I-29 between Bellevue and Mineola right now. Where you see that little extra bright area right over I-29 there in the county border. That's some pretty strong wind, probably at least 60 to 70 miles per hour. Again, it's just a straight line wind, but guess what? A car, tree, doesn't care if it's straight line or wind rotating. It's going to cause some issues out there. And again, that warning is up for 60 mile per hour winds, and like we've been showing you, those pockets of hail. And just give you a time frame on some of this. It's going to take another couple hours for these to get out of our area. So far, I would say overall we've seen some weakening in these storms as they begin to push a little bit more into western Iowa, but they are still very healthy thunderstorms in the area. All right, so a little bit wider look there. You can see there's the edge of Pot County, which is pretty much where our current severe thunderstorm warning ends. So Oakland, the real heavy rain about to pick up for you. It still looks at least some small hail where you see that purple coloring on the radar in this picture. It's where some of that hail is still coming down. And again, moving east towards Oakland right now. So Oakland, if you do have a car out and about and you don't want it damaged, have time to throw it in the barn or the garage, you do still have a couple minutes to do so, but you are quickly running out of time. And again, with that heavy rain coming, those straight line winds of 60 miles per hour, give or take. So there's our hail product once again. Underwood there, again, probably just had some small hail as that little core of hail mainly moves a little bit more down to your south. We're talking right along Highway 6 right there towards Oakland. So again, that darker blue area, probably 1 inch, if not a little bigger size hail right now. And actually, as Tim zoomed in that, it looks like right there, you do see just a little bit of that purple indicating some 1.5 inches, maybe a little bit larger hail than that. Straight in line for Oakland, unfortunately, if that holds together, which it has been so far. And still, that other area of hail, now moving on the very edge of Sarpy County, down towards Plattsmouth right now. So Bellevue to Plattsmouth, some hail coming down. Same thing as in Pot County, where you see the darker pockets of blue, basically Bellevue, on the north side of Bellevue there. And then also Plattsmouth towards the Platte, the darker blue, indicating probably 1 inch to 1.5 inch size hail. It's also moving off to the east, so Pottawatomie, Mills counties, you're in line for this, especially Glenwood being a little bit closer to it. We'll wait and see for other areas like Malvern if that hail can hold together. But notice as you go farther south towards Murray, just some very, very small hail where you see some of that gray coloring on our hail product. And basically, Tim has looped the hail for us, so that's why you can kind of see over the last, 15 minutes or so, that hail's been progressing off to the east. And looks like it's moving pretty much almost straight east at this point. At times, we've seen it a little bit more of a northeast, but right now, mainly moving off to the east. And it does look like in central Pot County, too, that hail is starting to shrink down a little bit. Hopefully that trend trend will continue as it moves towards Oakland.
Yeah, Mark, just kind of watching that loop, it doesn't seem like the storms are totally in the process of collapsing yet, but those hail cores are still really maintaining kind of the strength and size of the hail. But hopefully as those storms continue to move east and kind of, as you were saying earlier, continue to interact with the earlier overnight round of storms, it'll continue to just weaken the line altogether.
Yeah, and hopefully that's something we'll continue to see happening. But like Tim said, these storms in some areas are still severe. Tim, let's just go back to what we call the whole view of our area. And again, show everybody an update elsewhere, what's going on. Areas farther north up towards Crawford, Carroll counties. Again, Tim, click on that box for me. Let's see what the winds are up towards Crawford and Carroll there.
Yeah,
this has been
go ahead and
historically last couple of hours, some of the strongest wind we've seen. But I will say it looks like those storms in that area have weakened as they head towards Denison. So again, the warning has come down a little bit. This was the section of the storms where we were thinking that we're up to 80 mile per hour winds. Again, these have weakened a little bit down to about 70 miles per hour. Again, still problematic, but still we're seeing some small improvements even with that strongest segment of this line of storms as it comes through. So Denison, your wind about to pick up here pretty quickly as this next round of heavy rain goes through. Again, it's that leading edge right there, moving into Crawford County and south, moving towards Harlan. That's where the strongest wind is with some of that real heavy rain. And now we're also seeing some small hail, at least in some of these areas, and of course, some of that larger hail we've been showing you in Pot County and then other parts of the Omaha metro. And you can kind of see there that brighter red. Again, some of this is looking worse there up towards Crawford, over into Monona, but it's just because of the orientation of the radar. When you get more parallel to it, it does tend to highlight some of those stronger winds. When you're a little bit more perpendicular to it, you just don't see it. So some of this is probably some truth. There is a little bit of stronger wind there, but some of it's just because of the way the radar works. So really no one part of this line looking a whole lot worse than any other areas. Now, as far as the wind, I'd say 60 to 70, really 50 to 70 mile per hour winds probably becoming more common along it. So we pulled the wind back a little bit. And of course, as we've been showing you two of those pockets of hail. Harlan, some smaller hail moving towards you right now, but shouldn't be enough to cause any issues, assuming it doesn't strengthen. Again, still though, it looks like in the latest round, looks like that hail in Pot County has gotten a little bit worse there.
Yeah, it really has.
Once again, seeing a little bit more of that purple there as it kind of moves towards Oakland. So that's what we've been seeing. Signs this hail will start to shrink and that part of the storm strengthens again, starts to produce some larger hail. So Oakland, again, this thing's slowly moving towards you. And also that hail now moving more out of Sarpy and Cass counties, now more moving into Mills County and the southern part of Pot County, south of Council Bluffs. Council Bluffs does look like there's some small hail over you, but it's more south of I-80, Lake Manawa, and southward towards Mills County and Glenwood, where we're seeing some of that larger hail moving through at this point. Fremont County looks like, again, some small hail on the northern edge of the county moving in here for the next few minutes, but definitely where you see that darker blue coloring in parts of Mills County, where we do some of that larger hail, an inch to an inch and a half, at least at times.
Mark, yeah, it's like the whole section of Interstate 29, right, where the interchange of I-80 is, just south of Glenwood. How long of a stretch is that? That's 10, maybe 15 miles of a stretch of the interstate there in Mills County where it's hailing the entire stretch and possibly not just, pea-sized hailstones at times, but the size of dimes, maybe even the size of pennies, up to the size of quarters too, which is what that storm is warned for there in Glenwood and in Mills County. So looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for that. Maybe I believe that's the southern edge of that storm. Let me put a stop on this, Mark, and just see. I'll actually pull up the box on this. So it warned for actually 60 mile per hour winds and under 3/4 inch size hail. That's going to be for Fremont and Mills counties until 7:30, so another 45 minutes from now. Let's switch over real quick and show you.
And it also does extend into Montgomery and Page counties,
Montgomery
too.
and Page County too, yeah. And let's see, from the Weather Service, yes, a lot of the winds that are continuing to kind of gust out of some of these storms, anywhere from 30 to 50 mile per hour winds routinely. That's a pretty common report that we're seeing from a lot of the municipal airports that are kind of over in Iowa now, from what we're seeing basically from Glenwood all the way just east of Council Bluffs, and then further north for you folks up near like Logan, and then eventually up toward Denison. Mark, I'm going to zoom in and just show you where some of the strongest of this wind. They were earlier thinking there was a little bit of rotation just south of Glenwood, kind of between Plattsmouth and Glenwood. Very, very broad stuff. I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate here on what exactly we're seeing for the next maybe 10 or 15 minutes, probably just more really
Yeah, just
strong
more of those
wind.
little notches, trying to spin up a little bit of
Right.
rotation. So it never hurts to be better safe than sorry on leading edges of these things like that. But hopefully everything does spin up pretty short-lived and hopefully on the weaker side of the tornado scale. But again, even tornado or not, we've got some pretty nasty wind coming in with some segments of these storms. And Tim, I'd say one improvement we've seen too, earlier as these storms were coming through, especially northeast Nebraska and other parts of far eastern Nebraska, we had a real sharp cutoff, a very, very well-defined, kind of almost picturesque, very straight line on the radar where these storms were and where they were not. Notice now it's becoming a little bit more ragged as this storm has grown farther down to the south. Again, still producing that strong wind, but definitely not as bad as it was. And these storms are just starting to, again, they're still severe, so I'm going to be clear on that. But we're just seeing signs that they're just not as well organized as they were passing through eastern Nebraska. So still problematic, but hopefully we're going to continue to see just some very slowly but surely weakening with these storms coming through. Again, earlier it was just this nice, almost this nice curved line. Now it's this like jagged in and out kind of leading edge of these storms. And that just shows that the organization isn't there like it was a little bit earlier on. But again, that warning has been extended farther south. Tim now showing us Oakland, where you see purple on this radar view, that's the hail. So Oakland, brace for that hail to start falling here in the next couple of minutes. And again, look at that lightning. Oakland, if you're looking out a window to your north and off to your west, you've been seeing quite a light show. Omaha for us, if you're looking towards that direction. Guys, actually, Dylan, if you want, could you pull up our Carson group headquarters camera? That'll be looking that direction. We're probably going to see quite a light show from that, or just our Harris camera. That's still in quite a bit of lightning. So there's Carson group headquarters. That's the Dodge Expressway there, obviously covered in plenty of rain. And I think, honestly, we have so much rain over Omaha still that it's blocking our view of the lightning. But there's our Harris Casino camera. Just still heavy rain coming down downtown, blocking out some little city lights. That just, and there's a little bit of, oh, wow, did you see that lightning strike?
Yeah.
Just over the, not the main First National Tower, but their smaller tower there. It kind of looked like it right behind there. So again, a very, very wet and stormy start. If you are heading out for the morning commute soon, again, just kind of recap. If you've got kiddos that are still in school, which is, I know a number of our schools, okay. So
Yeah.
if you can hold the kids off longer, don't send them out in this. That's your best case scenario. But why we hop back to really fast. Tornado warning has just been issued there for Pot County, basically Oakland and south. Again, that leading edge, see that little notch right in there? That's going to be our little area of rotation. So Oakland and south, we need you in your safe place very quickly. And Tim, if you want to zoom into that, you can see right along the river there that goes through Oakland, just really right there. Oakland down towards Carson, where we're seeing that rotation, and this is expanding off to the east. So very quickly, guys, again, this is what happens. These things spin up very quickly on the leading edge. So Oakland to Macedonia with Carson in the middle. We need you guys in your safe place very, very quickly here. Just a new little piece of rotation on the leading edge of some of that strongest wind. And that's what we were seeing a little bit earlier in eastern Nebraska. So this is going to move off to the east through other parts of Pot County, eventually more towards the county border there towards Griswold. So Griswold, you're not under the tornado warning right now. But again, Oakland, Carson, Macedonia, right along Highway 59 and eastward through the rest of Pot County there. Really, we're talking the very far southeastern edge of Pot County. You are under that tornado warning. So Oakland, southeast, and Pot County, we need you in that safe place very quickly if you have not been already. Again, it's a straight line wind still coming at this, but the leading edge of that, right there in that little notch, is where we're seeing some rotation, enough to be concerned for a quick little spin-up tornado like we've been watching so far.
Yeah, Mark, something interesting that I've just observed over the last 5 to 10 minutes. You're watching the original line of storms moving through, moving pretty slow, but then you had the big line of wind out over, eastern Nebraska an hour and a half ago. It's now all caught up, but where that tornado warning was just issued, it's essentially caught up and now sped ahead of the storm, and it's interacting with that old storm, and the thought was, okay, hopefully the old storm would help kind of just make some of the original line of bad storms we had earlier kind of die down, go away. That's not so much the case. It's actually interacting with that and enhancing that storm a little bit there where we're seeing the rotation.
And also just south of that, Tim, while we're on this radar picture, reminder, severe thunderstorm warning there in that orange box. That's one of our newer ones that was issued, extends farther south. That includes parts of Mills, Montgomery counties, and also Fremont over into Page County. So that whole area towards Red Oak and Clarinda, Shenandoah area. You guys are now under this latest severe thunderstorm warning as well. And the biggest concern there is for some 60-mile-per-hour winds. So we are talking more kind of minimum requirements for a severe thunderstorm, but at times we've seen these strengthen again, especially on that northern part of it there in Mills County, heading towards Montgomery there, where that storm is a little bit stronger. Just like we saw now towards Oakland, again, on the leading edge of that, you can get a quick little notch to form and get a quick little spin-up tornado. So if you're in these areas, continue to kind of keep up to date with us to make sure things are staying safe as possible in your areas. And now, once again, there's the tornado warning we have. So Carson, really right over you guys right now. You can see just on the northern edge of the Carson label, right there. You can see that little spin, kind of that little notch right there. Again, what we're showing you on radar is the wind. So all that wind is the leading edge of it, and right there on the leading edge of it is where we do have that little pocket of rotation there, right over the Carson area. So if there's a tornado there, it's probably just north of the center of Carson, but still, Carson, be in your safe place. Macedonia, keep an eye on it. Again, don't want to tell you not to be in the safe place, but hopefully this does stay north of you. And Oakland, again, be in the safe place. If this thing just drifts a little bit farther north Oakland, that's going to put it a little bit too close for comfort to you. So especially Carson to Oakland, we need you in the safe place. And again, that's going to keep pushing off to the east, really through the rest of Pot County. It ends there pretty much at the county border over towards Griswold is where that current tornado warning ends. And again, Oakland, we've been telling you that hail seems to be holding together very well, especially north of 6 there. You can see that purple area. That's our little bit larger, or the center of the largest area of hail, probably at least 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches in diameter. So we're talking golf ball size plus hail in some of those areas. Again, radar estimating that very small little part of the center, maybe even up to 2 inches. And again, sometimes it overdoes it a little bit, but still a pretty good sign that there's some decent hail coming down. In Oakland, that is now moving in to your area. Although, again, even as far north as Hancock, probably going to get hit by some of that hail. And of course, on the edge of that, like we've been talking about, also the tornado warning too. Tim, let's give a quick look over at Omaha, a little bit closer for everybody heading out for the morning commute. Yeah. Probably got more and more people starting to think about hitting the road here. Current time is 6:50, so traffic's going to start picking up quite a bit very, very quickly here in the next hour. So, Tim, if you could pause that for me too. So technically, downtown Omaha into central Omaha, still under that severe thunderstorm warning, but I do think we're in the part of that storm where really the wind is starting to lighten up. The worst of the conditions now moving more into, again, through Pot County. Got another update here. Okay, new severe thunderstorm warning for Nemaha, so parts of southeast Nebraska.
Yeah,
severe thunderstorm warning has been extended.
Do you want me to move
before
down
we head
to that,
down there, let's really quickly cover Omaha here for everybody about to head out. Again, basically at this point, Omaha in the central part of the city up into Irvington, some leftover rain coming down, but not as heavy as it was. If you're Boys Town out towards really the rest of the western half of Douglas County, really starting to dry out pretty much completely at this point. But remember too, even as the rain comes to an end, the entire city and pretty much all of Douglas County down into Sarpy County, we are under a flash flood warning. So even though the rain is coming to an end, we're still going to have some areas of high water over some of these roads. So give yourself extra time. Again, basically the longer you can wait to go out this morning, the better off you are going to be. Maybe you've got a cool boss. You say, hey boss, I'm going to work from home the first half of today. Mark told me to. That's fine. Hopefully you have that flexibility with your schedule. Again, what Tim's now showing us is the rainfall rate. So a little bit different radar picture than we typically show you, but it's basically like how heavy is the rain right now. And where you see that purple really into, we'll call it central Pot County, southward into central Mills County, South Malvern. I mean, that's some real heavy rain coming down right now, and that extends up towards Oakland and north into Harlan. So that's our heaviest rain right now. Again, still some pockets of heavy rain in downtown Omaha, but very quickly that's going to shift more into Council Bluffs. And of course, another half hour after that, Council Bluffs, you'll see the heavy rain come to an end. So basically, whether it's the kiddos, the adults, the longer you can wait, the better off you're going to be to head out on the roads this morning. And there's our newest severe thunderstorm warning. For the most part, that's for Nemaha County, but it looks like it does include about a mile into Odo County there, too, on the southern edge. But really, Auburn, I mean, you're pretty much through it at this point. But if you're, we'll call it west of Auburn in Nemaha County, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for you. It looks like we probably got some hail in there, and that's what the warning is for, 1 inch in diameter. And some strong wind, but under 60, even under 50 miles per hour probably for the wind in this little piece of it. But there's the reason for the warning. Auburn, the hail kind of pushing out of the city now already for you. But moving again through other parts of Omaha towards the Missouri River. And if that hail holds together, obviously northwest Missouri, you'd be up for it next in parts of Atchison County, which of course would include Rockport. But again, the warning has not been extended for you yet. It's a different coverage area from a different National Weather Service, but if they feel the same way about the storm, which I think they're going to, we'll see that severe thunderstorm warning get extended into northwest Missouri as well. Okay, so that's what we continue to see. Again, north of that, we have a combination of wind and hail in the other storms into other parts of southwest Iowa and western Iowa. And notice that other severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like, has been extended through Cass County, up into Audubon County, it looks like, too. Your whole county now has been extended with that severe thunderstorm warning, and even into parts of Carroll County, pretty much Carroll and south included, it looks like, in that severe thunderstorm warning. We'll get that label to pop up. There it is, right on the edge of that severe thunderstorm warning. Either way, Carroll County, southward towards Audubon, Cass counties. Now also under the severe thunderstorm warnings for the potential mainly for some 60-mile-per-hour winds, give or take. And of course, we've been seeing some large pockets of hail too. Tim, let's switch over to hail. Let's see how Harlan's holding up with that hail.
Yeah,
they had that little pocket headed towards
and also,
them.
yeah, just looking at the radar there, Mark, right in Harlan, just a bowing structure on the reflectivity imagery there, that traditional radar look, possibly some really, really strong wind moving through Harlan and then kind of into eastern Shelby County there. The hail doesn't look like it's as large in those northern storms. That might just be all about wind.
Yeah, and it does look like that hail that was headed towards Harlan. It was small to begin with, now even smaller. So glass half full Harlan, your hail situation, not as bad. But again, south of that, towards Pot counties, we're seeing some hail producers with these storms as they continue rolling through. So Tim, switch us on over to the wind in these thunderstorms. So where you see the green, not always, but typically a little better chance that these winds are below severe levels. There's different factors into that, but it's better to see green, we'll say, than the blue. And that's what we had towards the Harlan area, were some blue colors there on our wind view. And that was indicating probably some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds as that was pushing through. It looks like, Tim, Mark, a new tornado warning.
Yep, new tornado warnings. This is going to be for Fremont, Mills, Montgomery, and Page County. This was earlier what I was kind of mentioning a moment ago, where the winds got real strong, but didn't want to really speculate what was maybe happening. That's where it looks like we now have the new tornado warning. And Mark, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more to
Tim, you work in weather. Speculate away.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like the leading edge is right through Strand. Kind of Malvern's probably getting a little bit more hail than any of the actual wind.
Hail in Malvern now.
Right.
Fifth time in the last 2 years.
Right, yeah. So here's a look at the Doppler velocity, and it looks like the rotation is going to be just south of the town of Malvern, heading towards Strand. So in between Malvern and Randolph is where we're seeing the rotation currently on radar. It's not very pronounced, but it is there. We're just kind of seeing what we call a radar couplet. It's those inbound and outbound winds just merging and converging on each other, and that's going to be basically just south of the town of Malvern, heading towards Strand is where we're currently seeing that area of rotation there, and I believe that's in. Getting pretty close to southeastern Mills County then at that point. Also, just moving the radar back up to show you where that other tornado warning is for the town of Oakland and getting into eastern Pottawatomie County. Mark, it doesn't look like the rotation is as strong or as, it looks more broad, if anything. If anything more, it kind of just more looks like straight line winds there.
Yeah, so earlier we kind of showed you that kind of notch in the leading edge of the wind, and I think the best way to describe it is that kind of notch is kind of smoothed out into more of just straight line winds, like Tim mentioned. Again, we want a nice smooth leading edge of this. It's going to indicate some stronger wind, but as soon as you see more of those notches or little divots into the leading edge, that's when we have a little bit of rotation there. And I would say, like Tim mentioned, that this part of it has smoothed back out. So I would say the tornado threat is lower at this point in far southeast Pot County, but still that warning is in effect. So Oakland down towards Carson, I would say another minute or so. Safe for you to come out of that safe place, but still in the very far edge of southeast Pot County, off towards the east of Carson, over towards Griswold. You guys still be in that safe place and continue to keep an eye on the storm. storm, just in case that redevelops. But right now, it looks like that rotation has weakened. We'll wait and see here as the radar continues to pick up on the latest information. Oakland, it looks like at least most of the city you've been through now the worst part of the hail. So some smaller hail coming down, but that's now pushing just off to the east of the city. And remember our hail product, just because the way it's calculated in the radars, whether it's ours or whoever else you watch other times, it just takes a couple minutes to calculate all that. So the hail product is usually delayed a couple minutes. So the worst of the hail now moving out of Oakland. And you can kind of see on this radar view too, and you see that kind of purple, probably indicating some hail, which is what's happening there. Even up towards Hancock could be some smaller hail. And again, that red box continues to be our tornado warning that we've been talking about in very far southeast Pot County, although it doesn't look quite as bad as it did. And Tim, it looks like still a little bit more of a healthier notch, a little bit of rotation there in that one passing through Mills County right now.
Yeah,
Again,
I'll zoom back
kind of
in on that for us.